Good evening, dear students, and welcome to our last session and our last encounter in the frame of this technical English workshop. It's good, you have done a very good job, and today we're going to have our last session according to what I said. The topic today, as the other ones we have already taken and studied, is really important because it has to do with another valuable resource that teachers need to get to know a lot and into depth, because it is going to give us a good vision on how the language works and taking into account the ideas that they express. So we're going to be able to say and mention and refer to contexts that sometimes will require a lot of study, a study into depth, if we really want to master the conceptions that we are about to teach tonight. Today, we're going to work on conditional sentences, okay? Conditional sentences. Okay, what are conditional sentences? Well, according to what I said, they constitute a very valuable resource. These are compound sentences, actually subordinated sentences, that will contain two very important sections. One of them is a condition and the other one is a consequence. They will be divided in 4 different categories. We will see the ones in a moment. And those categories are determined by some conceptions that you will see in a moment. But I'm going to give you an introduction now. Those have to do with real possibilities to do the action we are referring to, the action that constitutes the main clause in the sentence, and if the condition is accomplished, we will be able to do that. So, mainly conditional sentences have to do with real possibilities to do actions, or maybe not real possibility to do actions. Or it will have to do too with impossible context. So things and contexts that cannot be accomplished, and as a result of that, the actions or the consequences won't take place at all. So let's enter in details. Okay, first we're going to take into account the first kind of sentence, which is the conditional. Okay. Let me do it better. Right, yes. Yeah, much better for sure. With the conditional zero. Okay, the conditional zero. It is known this way, and the conditional zero will have to do with things happening all the time. Those sentences have a structure, and the structure is going to be presented that way all the time. And you will see that the zero conditional or the conditional zero will refer to actions taking place all the time. So they will refer to universal truths, things happening all the time, things that are, for example, universal facts, customs, traditions, things that constitute remarkable routine, and that we know those actions are done and accomplished all the time. So we will see, starting from some examples, okay? Look at this. If you heat water at 100 degrees Celsius, remember, we can also say centigrade, it boils. Okay? Pay attention to this sentence. This refers to a universal truth. Okay? This happens all the time. Whenever you do that action, this consequence is going to emerge. Let's identify the 2 elements that this conditional sentence has. This is the first one. This is the condition, and If you accomplish this, if this is done and fulfilled, then this will emerge as a result. So this is the result, the consequence, or the action itself. So this is the consequence. If you heat water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. What verb tenses, because it also has to do with verb tenses, are present in this conditional sentence type 0? Well, one of them is simple present. Okay, here we can find the structure, the person and the action in simple present, and on the other hand, we find exactly the same tense. Person, I mean grammatical person, and boils, which is the action referred to this grammatical person. Okay, then another word, and I'm going to refer to a conjunction. Another introductory word, or a conjunction in this case, can be used. And this refers to the fact that whenever you do the action, or whenever you accomplish this condition, the action or the consequence will take place. So we can also use another word, which is when. Okay? When you heat water at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. Okay? This is it. I'm going to give you another example. Okay? If a woman gets married in Latin America, comma, her parents pay for the wedding reception. Okay, what we can find here is not a universal fact, something that will happen regardless the time and regardless the age at which we can do this in order to demonstrate that this is going to be accomplished. But this rather has to do with a custom and a tradition that exists in many different Latin American countries, Colombia, Venezuela, etc. If a woman gets married in Latin America, her parents pay for the wedding reception. Of course, and according to what I told you first, we can also use when, and this is going to be expressed that way too. When a woman gets married in Latin America, her parents pay for the wedding reception. One more time, we can identify the two tenses present over there. A woman gets, which is the simple present tense, and her parents pay, which is once more simple present tense. So for the zero conditional, we're going to find and establish in a clear form that the two tenses that are present are just simple present and simple present. And let me write and make a summarized chart, and we will see it. Conditional type 0. If I do, comma, I do. Remember, this is a summarized chart. Of course, we are not going to talk in terms of do and do all the time. This is just an example to summarize things. I do is simple present, and I do is simple present too, right? Okay, so this is the conditional type 0. One more time, let's identify the two elements. Okay, this is the condition, and this is the consequence. Okay, another fact that I wanted to refer to when dealing with conditional sentences. We can also give the sentence another order. I mean, we can begin with the consequence and continue or finish with the condition. But a detail is going to be observed in that regard. So, water boils if, if you heat it at 100 degrees Celsius, right? Now, the detail I wanted you to pay attention to is the fact that if you give the sentence another order, if you interchange with respect to the first example, the position of the two elements, and you begin with the consequence, you are not going to separate the two sections by using a comma. So, water boils, and if you heat it, won't need a comma to establish such a separation. But if you begin the sentence with the condition, you will need the comma for sure, right? If a woman gets married in Latin America, comma, her parents pay for the wedding reception. Okay, this is everything having to do with the conditional sentence type 0, or the conditional sentences in general, type 0. Okay, let's continue with conditional sentences type number 1. Okay, conditional type 1. Okay, now look at this. In these kinds of sentences, you will see that a person, or the item or the person, grammatical person in general you want to refer to, has real possibilities for an action or for a consequence or for a situation to take place in the future. So the structure with respect to the conditional sentences type number 0 is a little different, and the meaning for sure is different too. The circumstances are different. So look at this. If I learn English, oh, very good. If I learn English, I will be able to work as an interpreter. That's it. Once more, the two elements will be distinguished. That is going to happen all the time when dealing with conditional sentences. The two elements will be distinguished and observed. If I learn English is the condition. This is, once more, what has to occur in order for this to be real. Now look at this. This is the consequence. I will be able to work as an interpreter. Which are the two tenses present in these kinds of sentences? Well, in the condition you have to have one more time the simple present tense. So this is conditional type number 1. If I do, comma, I will do. This is a situation not related to things happening all the time. And that is the most remarkable difference with respect to the conditional 0. This is a situation which is specific, not general as the other one, the previous one, but this is more specific. This refers to a specific moment and not whenever the situation or the condition we refer to takes place. If I learn English, I will be able to work as an interpreter. So, over here, the person has real possibilities to do the action. The person actually expects for good results because the person has possibilities, real ones, and of course the action will more likely happen in an upcoming time in the future. Okay, according to what I told you, we can give another order to this. I'm not going to give an illustration on the change of order all the time. I will do it here, but you already know that we can do it in upcoming conditional sentences, right? So, I will be able to work as an interpreter if I learn English. Right? Okay. Now we have started with the consequence and we have continued with the condition or finished. Right? And remember, no comma will establish a separation between the two elements. But of course, if we begin the sentence with a condition, that separation will be noticed and made and carried out starting from a comma. Okay? That is the condition. Okay. I'm going to give you another example because will is not only the one which is going to be present over there. Sometimes we can talk in terms of possibilities by using might. So we can do something like this. If I get that job, I will save a lot of money. Right? If I get that job, I will save a lot of money. One more time, present and future. But we can give the possibility or the action referred to in the second sentence another touch by saying something like this. I might save a lot of money. And by saying this, you maybe are not referring to an action which is going to be very real, but an action will have that will have possibilities for it to occur. But in that case anyway, this is present in a conditional sentence type number 1. Even we're working with the future with will or with might, we're talking about possibilities for the action to take place. Maybe in one case the situation and the possibility is going to be realistically more possible, for it to happen than when you say might. But anyway, it is possible too. In both of the cases, we're talking about actions occurring in the future, in an upcoming time. Okay, well, this is something related to conditional sentences type number 1. Let's continue with the conditional sentence type number 2. Okay. In this case, when dealing with conditional sentences type number 2, we'll have a quite different situation from what took place in conditional sentences type number 1. Now look at this. If I learned English, and now look at this. First point to be observed. Here the action is in simple past. But of course the idea doesn't have anything to do with simple past. It is hypothetically located in the future. Maybe some of you will ask, teacher, how come? How is it that an action which is expressed in past will be considered in a hypothetical form maybe occurring in the future? So, of course, it has to do with that. That is a structure. Oh, okay, let me tell you something with respect to what happens in Spanish, and you will see a clear illustration on an equivalent we have in our language. When you say, for example, si yo tuviera, or si yo hiciera, so we have exactly the same situation. Pay attention to the word hiciera in Spanish, and you will see that when, for example, I refer to what my mother or my boss or my wife, etc., actually a person told me to do something, what do I say in Spanish? Let's refer to what? To what that person told us, and you will see in these terms that the situation is the same. We can say, for example, at a moment, my mother can tell me, Jhonny, haz tu tarea. Jhonny, haz tu tarea. And if I refer in reported speech what my mother told me, I will say, oye, Carlos, mi mamá me dijo que hiciera la tarea. She says at that time, haz. But I say, hiciera. And hiciera is past, okay? So, si yo hiciera, look at the verb form. So now it is present in a conditional sentence. You will see that the structure is the same. And in English, we have the same situation. The action is in past, but the projection is in the future. If I say, for example, si yo hiciera mis tareas, and that hiciera is not located in the past anymore. It is located in a hypothetical future. Of course, we need to accomplish a condition for it to happen, but it is hypothetically located in the future too. Well, let's continue. If I learned English, I would work as an interpreter. Okay, now look at this. The two tenses present in these conditional sentences are different, okay? This is now past. If I did, comma, now the consequence is in conditional simple, I would do. This is a summarized chart, remember, okay? If I did, I would do. This is for you to have the clear vision and the complete panorama on how it works, right? Okay, let's give another example. If I won that money, I would travel around the world. Okay, look at this and pay attention to this reflection we're going to carry out. When a person says, if I learned English or if I won that money, one thing to have for granted and for sure is that the person doesn't expect that the action will happen, okay? The person is not expecting for it. The person just places himself or herself in a hypothetical situation. And if that were accomplished, so that would happen. I'm going to illustrate starting from a difference, okay? A difference, let's suppose that we are on a reality show at this moment, okay? And let's suppose, for example, that I have two contestants here, the two finalists of the reality show, okay? And each of them, or actually one of them will have the possibility, well, both of them have the possibility, but just one of them will win $1 million. Okay, let's suppose the award or the prize is $1 million. The two finalists are over here, and I come to them and I ask the question, okay, to both of them, what will you do if you win the money? And to the other one too, what will you do if you win the money? This is the first conditional. What will you do if you win? La traducción al español sería, ¿qué hará usted si gana ese dinero? ¿Qué hará usted para la otra persona si gana ese dinero? But look at this. Now let's suppose that they provided me with the corresponding answers and I come to the audience in order to look for opinions, right? To look for opinions. I have a question for you. Do you think that to the spectators, I could ask the same question? Of course I couldn't. And let's see it. I couldn't tell one of the spectators, what will you do if you win the money? ¿Creen ustedes que le podría preguntar, ¿qué harás tú o qué hará usted si se gana el dinero? No. First, that person over there is just a spectator. He doesn't have any real possibilities to do that. The real possibility is only for the two finalists. So in Spanish, a very appropriate question for that person would be, ¿qué haría usted si se ganara ese dinero? Right? In that regard, the question in English, the correct question in English wouldn't be in a type of conditional sentence 1, but a type of conditional sentence 2. What would you do if you won that money? What would you do if you won that money? ¿Qué haría usted si se ganara ese dinero? So this is a reflection that leads toward the conclusion that conditional sentences type number 2 are not possible to be stated when there are not real possibilities. Actually, they will be expressed when the sentences refer to non-real possibilities, actually unreal possibilities for the action to happen. That person doesn't expect for that. Those people will expect for that because they are finalists. These spectators don't. They don't expect for it. So they cannot be stated when the possibilities are real, but when the possibilities, and in that case I make a little correction, but when the possibilities are unreal, when they are not real at all. Okay? If I won that money, the person doesn't expect for it. I would travel around the world. Okay? And if I learned English, maybe the person considers English is very difficult for him, and the person just places himself in a hypothetical situation. If I learned English, I would work as an interpreter. Okay? This is it. So now, let's continue with the third and the last conditional today, which is the conditional sentences type number 3. Okay. Conditional type number 3, the last one today. Okay, sometimes we reflect about situations that don't constitute something possible at all because they are located in the past. And if we take into account that we cannot return to the past, so we will define those sentences in terms of impossible things to be done. Impossible conditions, okay? Conditions to which we cannot, circumstances to which we cannot return, okay? Because of the fact that we cannot return to the past. So, in that case, we will have this structure, okay? If I had known that you were in Medellin, look at this, right? If I had known that you were in Medellin, now look at the structure. We have a past perfect tense over here. Si yo hubiera, or si yo hubiese sabido que tú estabas en Medellin, so I would have invited you to have lunch. ¿Ok? Si yo hubiera sabido que tú estabas en Medellín, te habría invitado a almorzar. Te habría invitado. This is not a Spanish class. No es una clase de español y déjenme hacer esta breve reflexión en español, pero a veces algunas personas colocan el mismo tiempo tanto en la condición como en la consecuencia y terminan diciendo, si yo hubiera sabido que tú estabas en Medellín, te hubiera invitado a almorzar, which is not correct. The consequence is said in terms of te habría invitado a almorzar, which is the right one. Okay, so this is the condition and this is the consequence. If I had known that you were in Medellin, I would have invited you to have lunch. Okay, this has no effects in the present because maybe the person is not in Medellin anymore. The person traveled to Bogota or maybe overseas, abroad, and the person doesn't have any possibility to invite that friend because the person is not present. Okay? Look at this. Sometimes, and something which is really interesting in this kind of sentences, the conditional type number 3, is that sometimes those actions exert effects and results in the present time. especially if we consider that if we have done something in the past, now the situation or the circumstance will be or would be quite different from what it is now. Let's see, starting from an example, okay? If I had gotten the driver's license last month, look, this is now going to be connected to something or an action taking place at the moment, and therefore effects will be present at the moment. If I had gotten the driver's license last month, I wouldn't get this parking ticket now. Okay? So sometimes it has that effect in the present.
Si yo hubiera obtenido la licencia de conducir el mes pasado,
okay? And now the police officer is now with me, giving me a parking ticket. Now I can say, I wouldn't get this parking ticket now.
no me darían esta boleta o este etiquete, esta multa ahora.
No me darían esta multa ahora.
Si hubiera obtenido la licencia de conducir el año pasado, no me darían esta multa ahora.
So it has effects in the present. But now let's suppose that the situation took place yesterday. Now I say, if I had gotten the driver's license last month, I wouldn't have gotten that parking ticket yesterday, right? For example, the person was parking the car at an area at which it is not permitted to park. Another person says, if I had gotten the driver's license last month, I wouldn't have gotten that parking ticket yesterday. Now look at this. The situation is quite different because it doesn't take place, or it's not taking place now. It took place yesterday.
Si yo hubiera obtenido o conseguido la licencia de conducir el mes pasado, no me habrían dado no me habrían dado ese etiquete, esa multa ayer.
No connection with the present moment is seen here, and connection with the present moment is seen here in example number 1. So it has effects in the present, but it doesn't have effects in the present moment. Okay? So that establishes a difference between the two examples. Okay, so let's define it. If I had done, comma, I would have done. Okay, so look at the summarized chart one more time. If I do, I do. If I do, I will do. If I did, I would do. And if I had done, I would have done. So, students, this is everything having to do with conditional sentences. Remember, this can be connected to this if the situation exerts and represents effects in the present moment. When it doesn't, so the connection is between this and this. Okay? Thank you so much for your attention. Okay? Let's see one more time. Let's see each other one more time in the other topic which is to come. Thank you so much.